Hi, my name is Amanda Simpson, and I'm going to share my signature project recap with you. The title of my project is The Effect of Ethnic Grouping on Reading Proficiency Gains. There. I want to share a little bit of research with you behind my project. So, researchers are adamant that ethnic diversity among classroom communities influence overall academic proficiency growth. In addition, studies indicate a lower achievement level among students in classes with a higher ratio of minority students than in classes with a diverse ethnic student population. So, this brings me to my background. I live in a small town in South Alabama, and I'm the reading specialist at it's a small elementary school compared to others, but it's pretty big for Monroeville. We service K4 through fourth grade, and my focus is kinder through third. I do support fourth grade, and I pop in with pre-K from time to time, but my contract is kinder through third grade. So when I started grad school and I read research similar to what I just read to you, I was a little frantic. I thought that can't be correct because how does biology determine your intellect or how you learn? And so it really disturbed me. And I did more research into it, which really just kind of led to this project later on. But what I realized was it has nothing to do with biology and everything to do with demographics. So 85% of my school identifies as African American. So it really stung when I first read that research. I was like, I don't agree with that. That's not fair. You're talking about my babies. They are perfectly capable of learning altogether. Again, I realized it's the demographic. It's not the problem with their biology. It's the problem that we're all coming from the same community and we've had basically the same experiences living in a rural community, and our vocabulary and our old language skills and our opportunities for projects based learning, they're all the same. And so it makes it very difficult to achieve great reading proficiency gains or great gains period, but especially in reading. So you see that my problem is reading growth begins to stagnate after first grade due to a lack of ethnic diversity. So I'm going to share some data with you. And this is data from my school. This is first grade data. Is based off the years 2019, 2020, 2021. So with the current administration and the previous administration I've worked with, we have beat our head against the door, and we have collaborated with the State Department, and we've used cutting edge research and strategies and sent our teachers to PD, and we've used coaching opportunities. And we just have every year, we demonstrate marginal proficiency growth after first grade. And so what happens is our children leave first grade and they're accurate and they're automatic. They're composite from the Ames Web Early Literacy Screener is solely off ORF. So as you can see in 2019, they're 85% proficient. We are proficient. That's proficiency. 2020, now if you remember, this is the year that we left in March. And so our babies did not screen after February. So this is mid-year data. But look at this. This is good data. We're at 75% proficient. So we're almost at benchmark in February. And I said if we'd had the opportunity to finish that year, my children would have met 90% because typically our kids grade 15% between each screener. And then this is the 2021, and it's wonky. This is after COVID. Our kids were in and out. Again, this is off kindergarten, our first graders who didn't complete kindergarten, and a lot of them were virtual. We made them come in and screen. So, but still not bad, 76% proficient. This is my second through fourth grade reading proficiency percentages, and you can see it's based on years. The blue is 2019, and you see There's not a lot of difference between 2019 and 2021. The gray is 2021. This is my mid-year data, um, and for 2020, and this is pictorial of what happens to us mid-year. And they usually are able to get, in third grade, we're able usually to get right there at that 65% benchmark. You see, we're just below 70%. And it's difficult. There's not a large difference between these two. And unlike my first graders, my third graders were very little affected by the COVID dismissal in second grade. Like, these kids came back to school, they bounced back. I mean, don't get me wrong, we want these proficiencies to look better, but I was really surprised. We all thought it would be far less than that, but they just came back in and rolled with instruction, and I think that's just a good illustration of the instruction that they'd had previously. All right, so this was my action plan for this project. So my theory was that children sitting in homogeneously grouped classrooms need additional methods to their instruction. They need some different types of practices and different learning opportunities in order to meet proficiency gains or to make those gains. We're making gains, but they're just so marginal from one year to the next. So this was the action plan. It's going to take 2 classes. So I have one class in third grade of 18 students, and it's an ethnically diverse classroom. I've got African Americans, Caucasians, Asian Americans, Native Americans, and then biracial students. My other 3 third grade classrooms are 100% African American. So what I did was I used an online tool to choose 36 randomly selected third graders out of those 3 homogeneously grouped classrooms. I did not look at the student. I did not want to know that part of the project. I didn't want to know who. So I just emailed I forwarded the email to our bookkeeper, and she put it in an envelope until the end of the school year after my AIMSWIP screamer. So the plan was to tailor the instruction for Class A. So these students would participate in small group instruction, in table groups, what we call table groups, which is about 3 to 4 students at every table. And we would build that background knowledge. We would also work with oral language skills, allowing them to talk in that table 4, and using an AMSTI strategy known as talk moves. So basically, the topic is thrown out there, the problem or the question, and a student responds, but they respond with a talk move stem. I agree, or I believe, or my evidence states. And then it invites other people, either at their table or if it's a whole class discussion, to chime in as well. But they have to use a stem and say, I agree with so-and-so because, or I would like to add on to so-and-so, or I disagree because. But it always goes back to the text evidence. And as they have these conversations, they use the vocabulary that's unique to the lesson. The second thing we did for this group of 36, or these 3 groups, it wasn't just 36 children, there are like 18 or 19 kids in each of these 3 classrooms, is we implemented 2 project-based learning units. And so they were differentiated. I apologize, let me go back. They were differentiated, and they just kind of talked to each other. So this is the validity. It is, the AIMSWeb is valid. My other class, I didn't talk about them, but my other class, they just continued with our research-based strategies that we've been using. That's it. They didn't participate in project-based learning. They already kind of had a table talk situation going in there. But I went with third grade because these students I've told you, they're 85% African American. So like this class of 18, they pretty much have been together since first grade. And so they have a fidelity in learning. So there was no threat to the validity as far as an external threat. As I mentioned, the bookkeeper got it. No one opened the envelope. So the ethical consideration that I had was I didn't want to offend anyone. You know, when we start talking race and learning, it can be offensive. And so I really didn't talk about this project with too many people. My third grade teachers were on board because they're going to teach third grade again. It's accountability year. But I didn't want to offend anyone. And the way my students were listed was student one, student two, student three, student four for my sample students. So no one knew who they were. The data wasn't being shared with anyone but those teachers, and we were sharing it as a whole. It wasn't individualized. So I wasn't worried about a breach of confidentiality that way. The special population was that group of 18. I didn't have a choice. It was already selected for me because that's all I had. All right, so this is my results. So you can see Class A is, this is at the end of the year results. Class A, which is my group of, and I actually have this backwards on my chart because um, Class A is actually, this would be, this is actually Class B's. Yes, this is actually Class B. Class B, the 18 children um, scored 61% proficient. My Class A, my randomly selected ones, was 63% proficient. It's a little confusing because I got my labeling wrong. But so there was a 2% difference in 5 weeks' time. So imagine what would happen if we started in August and we implemented this throughout the school year. So that's kind of where my reflection is would this would I see instead of a 2% difference, would I see maybe an 8%? I know the state likes for us to set our goals at 3 to 5% when we're talking a whole school. So I'm kind of encouraged that in 5 weeks we almost met that 3% mark. I'm curious to see what would happen if this study got to go longer. And then also if teachers got to come visit and observe classrooms where this type of instruction was occurring, would it make a difference in my second grade? Um, would it even make a difference in my first grade? So, anyway, I appreciate your time. I know I went over. Thank you.